Looking at today's data, just to give you some background, what I'm going to do is just give you some insight into how we collect the data, just so you have some background as we go through it. And what that is we effectively use a lot of different social sources and digital sources through our tool Silla. Silla is a connection in Arabic. And what we do is collect data ambiently. So what we're doing is collecting information without intervention of the consumer, and we're also collecting it without keywords and things like that. So we're looking at people who create content and then who their audiences are, and to understand them a lot better. We use a lot of different social sources for that. We go through topic influencers, look at the audience, segment that audience, and then really dive down, create panels that way, and really then begin to understand how that consumer is acting and behaving, so that we can better understand, just make decisions about strategy. Why are we deconstructing Ramadan? Well, I think it's important that particularly agencies, I think, and also people who like press often talk about how the consumer is changing. But I think one thing that's the most true statement out of all of this is that the consumer doesn't change very often at all. And this has been a case obviously over time. But I think Bill Bernbach from the founder of DDB in the 60s said this best: it took millions of years for human instincts to develop. It'll take millions more for them to even vary. It's fashionable to talk about changing people, but a communicator must be concerned with unchanging people, with their obsessive drive to survive, be admired, to succeed, love, and take care of their own. That's a great quote, because it really frames how we think about the consumer here and what we do and how we can connect with that consumer a lot better. And also look at those patterns of behavior that are constant, and look for the variations in those patterns, and think about context. So what I'm going to present here, it just needs a little bit of context, a bit like what I'm talking about. Effectively, how we make decisions is governed a lot by our behavior outside of when we're conscious of that behavior. I'm sure everyone's aware of that, but it's something that we need to understand a lot better, I think, and how we can sort of understand and search through data. What we're going to do is take you through the observations of Ramadan and learn from really what the consumer does. This is all based on our audience first principle, which is effectively best articulated by Daniel Kahneman in Thinking Fast and Slow, about our system 1 and system 2 thinking. What we really want to understand is how people's system 1 thinking, the unconscious stuff that we do every day, and how we act, we think, and what we share, and not necessarily perhaps from a survey point of view, for example, understanding that person may be very consciously telling us what to do. And we're going to give some highlights of this as we move through. But basically, what we're trying to do is remove any pre-built biases in the consumer to better understand them, and then create those insights to create strategy. So without